And I think it's probably a good idea at this point, if we're serious about having a general strike, that we should think what we're on about. And as far as I'm concerned, the first issue on the agenda should be that the current government immediately orders the annihilation, I think that's the word, of the so-called public debt. Nobody owes anything to anybody. The money is being stolen by a very few people from the Canadian people by way of their labor since 1972. This is an undeniable fact, and even the Senate committee supposedly questioning on our behalf, Mr. Carney, the president of the Bank of Canada, just results in nothing but bafflegab. It's very clear that the law exists, that the Bank of Canada is supposed to produce the necessary currency for the proper operation without debt of the Canadian people. So for 40 years, since the time I blew the whistle on that issue, this fraud has gone on. And all my efforts to do anything about it were, of course, squashed. By way of publishing letters, no. By way of getting on the radio, no. I did one viewpoint after the national news, and that was the end. However, now to be serious, how do we prepare for a general strike? Well, personally, I think I'll go back to the country where I live, and it doesn't really make a heck of a lot of difference to me whether there's a strike or not. Not because I'm well prepared, but I just know how to live off my environment, and I know what plants are edible, and I know what other forms of life are edible, and I'm a vegetarian, so you know, I don't eat anything with eyes if I can avoid it, but if it's dead and fairly fresh, I'll eat it, I guess. Yeah, and chickens continue to lay eggs, and oysters continue to grow on the beaches, and there's lots of good vegetation around, especially stinging nettles are very good, very good for you, lots of iron, you know. And if you have a little oil on hand, which you probably have, and a little flour on hand, which you probably have, and a few lentils and a few beans, and you know, a simple way of living, then a general strike really is something other people do because you know, you're kind of on the fringes. But if you're living in the city, it's a totally different thing. And if you have a job, of course, it's a totally different thing. And to what degree you're actually an economic wage slave and you've just got to do exactly what you're told, or you're out of your house at the end of the month, well, that's surely an indication of why we need to have a general strike. Because obviously conditions like that are imposing a form of fascist dictatorship from the top down, where no serious consideration is given to the fact that if we didn't have this, what do we call it, the sword of Damocles hanging over our head by way of this so-called debt, and if we weren't putting $35 billion into the hands of people who already have all the money they can possibly ever spend in several lifetimes, then that indicates to me a degree of insanity that needs to be addressed. And I think there's a kind of insanity if we think about a general strike. I mean, who can strike? Well, you know, I guess I get a lot of retail people can, but many of them are very close to the border with rents. I mean, people from the United States that come up here, or Canadians who come here, and they say, my God, the cost of living here is extraordinary. So there again, money is being stolen, robbed from the Canadian people on a daily basis by, you know, values which are placed on things which, you know, keep big boardrooms climbing higher into the sky, filled with more and more people sitting in front of computers, I guess. I don't know what they're all doing, but I suppose phoning up unwilling clients to keep the whole madness of this busyness active. On the basis of what? A government that believes full employment is the best thing we can think of for the people? That's like saying, okay, slaves, you've all got jobs. Nice, very nice. Insanity. Insanity. No. What happened to life? What happened to life without duress? What happened to life without oppression? You know, ah, ah. So how can it be done? Well, if we're going to have a general strike, then let us consider what the really serious necessities are. Look around your house, clean out all your cupboards, see really what you don't need, and store it and give it away in a timely fashion. And clean house, spring clean. Don't just junk it. Don't just throw it to the authorities who just crush it all, and destroy. Take a little care. Be a caretaker. Take care of things. Take care of one another. Take care of what needs taken care of. And pretty much, we could be living in a rainbow world, a world where peace and harmony and love for one another dominate. And the people who know that they've been engaged in the dirty trickness and blue meanness, the wannabe neo-Nazis who've lost their minds, the wannabe famous whatevers who, are just maintaining a status quo, which has long ago lost its usefulness. And certainly the Westminster parliamentary system was broken long ago when Mr. Campbell got in with only 2 seats against him, and he wrongfully, in my view, set us on the path that takes us where we are today, when we need to have a de facto government of the people, by the people, for the people in British Columbia, if we're unable to proceed through the normal channels, and that is by having a none of the above on the ballot, and then running against the other parties, but we're not a party. The difference is that this will be returned to equality and a return to a form of management which finds acceptability among clan mothers widely. They understand it, they like it. The chiefs, of course, will always be divided. That is the nature of men. But if we have a government randomly selected from the people that choose to vote none of the above, the demographic will be so wide that people who vote in protest will say, I'd rather Charlie down the road is a complete idiot than these people who are bought and sold by banks to maintain us in a state of debt. No, it's time for that radical change. It's not going to be chaotic. People are not going to lose their jobs who need them. But those people who now are really liberated, because sooner or later, there's something called public liability. And if we had a public liability around the issue of universal family credit, if we had a guaranteed annual income for need until that happens, then all of these people who withdraw from what Adam Smith called the unproductive workforce, the people in the government who shuffle paper this way and that way and take days to do things that could be done by thoughtful, caring people on short-term engagement. So they learn the work, they pass it on to another caretaker who understands and loves the work, and at the same time moves things forward so that we can simplify, so that people are not under the thumb of various bureaucracies. They're not under the thumb of corrupted judicial systems. They're not under the thumb of complex laws that change yearly to keep the lawyers occupied. We've got better use for minds. We've got better use for people's lives than to maintain a status quo which only serves the rich. And not even the happy rich, the fearful rich, the people who are afraid of losing what they've managed to grab or steal or cheat for. Those are the rich that we need to be addressing, not the hard-working, not the people who've made it through their own intelligence and their efforts in a very corrupted, competitive, artificially competitive state. It's time for collaboration. It's time for us to be crew on the spaceship together of all colors. The rainbow people now are the people of the spirit. The rainbow people have always been those who serve the divine will. It's necessary then to prepare for the leisure state. It's necessary now to learn how to live comfortably with ourselves, with our families, with our communities. It's time now to learn how to share, not to hoard, to pass on, to take care of, and see that it is taken care of. Because human energy, individual skills and time and labor and love were put into everything that has been manufactured by man and woman. And when we begin to look around and see what is being created for us by the Creator, and we stop fighting over it like a bunch of children, and we wake up to our planetary responsibilities to take care of all species and all people and all life, just as life loves us. Begin to take the sun into your life. Begin to take the sun into your eyes, especially if you're not used to it. Do it in the early morning and late when the sun is setting. But as you become more practiced, you begin to realize there is great power, there's great energy, and there's great love by being able to look Father Sun in the eye and say, Father, I love you. And let that power flow through your body and feel it go down your legs and back to Mother Earth. And on the basis of that, as a conducting of light energy through us, we can really, really have a glorious new world. So, principles are necessary. Principles, purpose. What is our purpose? Our purpose is a free and natural environment, liberated from the worship of money, liberated from ignorance, passing on the good news of a new style of planetary peace and harmony. We're moving together towards that. Let us be strong. Let us be cooperative. Let us not fight one another for anything ever again. I better stop. Moves me to tears. We'll do it though. The rainbow's here. Gotta go. Thank you very much for your patience. 13, 14 minutes. I do go on a bit, don't I? Long-winded. God bless. Thank you.